Hi everyone, thank you so much for purchasing your at-home wreath box. This is a little demo. I won't take up too much of your time. I know how these how-tos can be pretty dull. There's also a few subs that you might have to make because I'm filming this in September. So we couldn't get all of the Christmas foliage that will be in your boxes, but I will tell you about that as we go along. So yeah, you should have had a box like this arrive on your doorstep. It might be a little bit smaller if it was sent Royal Mail, but the concept's the same. So open it all up, and what I would suggest you do is take everything out and separate it. So it should look a bit like this, hopefully a little bit neater. If my team of people that have been putting it together have done their job properly. So in every single box you should have your base, which is made of straw. The good thing about these workshops is that, and these wreaths, are that they're completely biodegradable, apart from a few obvious things like baubles, but I know you'll use your noggins. So I'm just unloading everything here. I've got my my pine cones, which I'm just going to put there. I've got my oranges. You might have something slightly different to this orange. You might have slices instead, but I'll tell you about that as we go along. You'll either have either or, so don't worry, you'll definitely get some kind of fruit. Some baubles. Again, we're going to try and make sure that everyone's colour schemes are matching. Really important that you need is real wire. If for any reason this isn't in your box, it will be, then you can use just string or any kind of wire that you have at home. Cotton thread might be a bit thin, but yeah, string would be fine. Just got my extra fruit bits there. There should be some pieces of raffia in there. Just put those to one side. Just separate everything really. In my box I've got some holly. Again, so this will be part of your mixed foliage. You might not have holly exactly. You might have some berries which have been dried because they're a bit longer lasting. As you can see, I made a wreath a couple of weeks ago, and some of these leaves are browning. So actually it will be probably better what you get. So separate all that out, put that in one pile. I've got some cinnamon sticks. I could only find one lot, so I'm just going to give you a little demo of that later on. Just going to place them there. Right, so there's like a few different types of foliage. We've got some absolutely amazing Douglas fir, which is what the bulk of your wreath is going to be made out of. Now, if you are lucky enough to have a garden, then you can forage anything you like from there. Bay leaves go well, they dry out after a little while, which is quite nice. If you live near a florist, you could go and ask to buy some more foliage if you wanted like some extra eucalyptus, but don't worry, we've given everyone an extra 20% of what they need, just in case of accidents, or because everyone's obviously different. So you don't need any extra foliage. I'm just saying, if you'd like to add something like like dried flowers like behind me, are always a nice addition, then you can do. I'm still separating this out, so there's some more holly there. I've got some lovely smelling pine, which I think is great in wreaths. It's really hardy as well, and kind of quite well growing. If you don't have a garden, if you live in a flat, if you're in the middle of Brighton like we are here, what you can always suggest to do is, if you see anyone that's got like a hedge made out of this, just go and offer to trim it for them for free, and you can get all the foliage for them, and they are happy because they've got a nicely trimmed bush. So just unloading more, separating it out. I cut down some fresh ivy this morning. I probably won't include ivy in your boxes because it does wilt really quickly, but ivy again is one of those things that you're walking along the street and just see overgrowing everywhere. So you can just take your secateurs out and chop it down. So yeah, that's the ivy. You should also have included some lovely sprayed twigs. We have these in red or gold, so you'll get one or t'other colour. And you might get some of this lovely bronze foliage, or you might get some sprayed eucalyptus or some sprayed ruscus. Everyone will just get one type of sprayed foliage basically. It might not look like this, just to let you know. Still sort everything out. Right, nearly there. Okay, what I'm going to do is just going to get all of my pine out, and then I'm going to keep all of my Douglas fir in one place so it doesn't get lost. Cool, I'm just going to put that to one side. Right, so here is your straw wreath. Now, a lot of florists will use a moss-based wreath, which is what we would do if you were in here with a workshop. This year we've just decided to send these. They're a lot easier, they're lighter, and they're easier to actually work with, we've realised, so we might be moving on fully converted. Now, so wreath making, if you're left-handed, you'll probably work anti-clockwise. If you're right-handed, you will work clockwise. No, that's the other way around. Good start. Okay, so I'm right-handed, so I'm going to hold the wreath in my left hand, and I'm going to work this way. Basically, the aim of the game is to obviously fill up the wreath and to not get any gaps. All of the foliage that you've got has been cut down. The one thing that you'd need to do is to just get rid of the ends as you go along. So with this Douglas fir, for instance, literally just pull the bottom off there. You see how I've just got those, and we don't need them. So either if you've got a bin to hand, just chuck them in your bin, or keep them on the table. If you have got a very precious table, we'd recommend either putting something down or working outside, just because these things can tend to scratch a little bit. So what I'm going to do as I'm working anti-clockwise, as we've said, is to just start placing some bits and bobs over here. So there's some little bits that will be included. Pull off the ends. So just to show you a bit closer up, just pull it off like that at the bit at the end, and place it on top of the wreath. So you're kind of aiming to almost work from left to right in a anti-clockwise or clockwise motion, depending on what is more comfortable for you. That one's quite short, so what you want to try and do is keep the shorter ones on the inside. If you have the longer ones on the inside, you start losing that hole, you see there, and we obviously want the wreath to be in a nice ring. So there's another bit. And what I like to do with these wreaths is to obviously have a mixture of foliage. So I'm going to get a piece of my lovely pine and pop it over the top. It's quite long, but as you can see, it's sort of still covering this top bit here. Now with your real wire, yours might be copper, or it might be black. Just unravel a little bit. You don't want to unravel the whole lot. And what you want to do with the thumb that you're holding the foliage with, just place it under the thumb like that. Then you just want to wrap that around, and you want to get all of the stems of your foliage. Once you do it once, it's surprisingly tough. You don't need to knot it or anything, it will stay in place. Maybe at the beginning one there, just do it 3 or 4 times and start it off. So as you can see, that is not going anywhere. So importantly, the next step, I want to show you. So again, with all of these little pieces that you've already had pre-cut, just take off all these edges at the bottom, just so that there's something for the wire to bind around. You can keep these bits on, it's just when you place other kind of foliage on top of it, it sort of sticks out a bit. If you wanted to, if you could pause this video now, you can go around all of your foliage and just take off all the excess little bits at the bottom there. And then you won't have to do it as you go along. Now would be a good time to do that. If you're back, hello. So the next stage is we obviously want to work this way. You don't want to start working upwards, because what you're going to be trying to do is almost posting your foliage underneath what's already there, and then when you come to wind your real wire around it, you're pressing everything down, and it's just going to not look very nice or organic. So the next bit we're going to do is the next line. It's very, very tempting, because you can see this gap here, to literally start your next stage there. But what you're actually doing then, don't know if you can see the profile, making it really, really thick. And even though we've given you 20% more than you need, you will run out of foliage by the time you get to here. So what you have to do with the next bit is, instead of placing it up there, just place it down about an inch or two further down. So that bit is going to go there. You don't really want to have any gaps as you're going around. I mean, we can fill gaps with things like baubles, but ideally we don't want to have to go back and do that at any point. So that's quite a nice big bit. Might be a bit too big. You've got to sort of almost place it and see how it's going. If you start with a big piece like that, and we don't have lots of lovely big pieces like that, then it's going to look a bit odd, because you're going to have like an A line coming out. So I'm going to choose a little bit of sorry about my huffing and puffing. I'm 8 months pregnant, so apologies for being knackered. This again there, I mean, I've actually, if you look at it, I've actually put a piece up there, so maybe I want to make a feature of it. And now maybe I'd like to put some of my holly in. Like I was saying, you might not have holly, so substitute this holly for another piece of foliage. We might have some silver birch, or like any other kind of hardy eucalyptus or something. I'm just going to put that in there and watch out for my fingers. And can you see I've just like managed to fill up that already, so it's almost, I've nearly done a quarter, and it's just with 2 lines. Put the wire around once, twice. You can do it as much, you've got enough wire to do it quite steadily, so, and then that's that. So the next one, again, I'm trying to look for any gaps I've got. I might want to try and sort out this top bit here, but I mean, you just got to think about it being on your door, so you don't want it, you don't want to waste a lot of foliage where you don't need to, basically. These are quite nice and thick, these, so it will look very, very full. So again, yeah, just pull off your edges. I'm going to use that. Might use a piece of my gold. I like keeping these quite long and organic, because they're sort of see-through. But it will just make sure you've got your edge where the other edges are. So there's one there, one there. As that's quite thin, probably need another piece of fat foliage there. So just have a look for that. That one's quite good. Pull off the ends if you haven't done. And then I just want to cover that inside bit there. Can you see it from your angle? Pull off the ends. They come off really easily. If you have any allergies, or you've got sensitive skin, I'd recommend wearing a pair of gardening gloves. If any of these are too long as well, normal scissors will cut them, otherwise secateurs are ideal. Or I've got these which are kind of, they're called Japanese floristry scissors, but you can get them from most online floristry sites for about £8. So just gonna put all those in place. They're all being held in with my thumb there, if you see that. Then that's just dangling. We never cut this until the end, and it just dangles, it doesn't unravel, which is handy. It's a good thing about using wire as opposed to string. And again, I'm just going to go around 3 times just to be safe. So we're getting there. Next piece, I'm going to use this big piece if it kills me. So actually, to save, save a bit of space here, I can use this piece of foliage much further down and almost have it as like a feature piece. And then have another long kind of piece like this sticking out. But almost having it, see there, sort of across the whole of the top of the wreath to really make it look lovely and stand out. I might use just another, you can use that, there's lots of short bits that we'll include in the box as well. You can just use up those as fillers. And again, just pull off those bottom bits as you go. I've still got my wire tucked behind my hand. I'm just going to go over the base like that. If you look at the back of mine, you can see how regularly I've actually put them in. They're kind of like, you know you're having a problem if you've got wire kind of coming everywhere along here, but this is just like sporadically every couple of inches. Now I'm just going to do one more, then I'm going to pause it. I'm going to finish this off, and then I'm going to come back to you to show you how we finish this particular stage. So yeah, more bits, take off the edges, bits shorter this time. And that's all going around like that. 1, 2, 3. And now, as you can see, we're getting somewhere here, nearly halfway done. And I'll come back to you in a bit. So, I'm back. As you can see, I'm nearly at the end of my wreath. I've just got this little gap here to do. So I'm still got quite a bit of foliage left. Hopefully you all will with your extra 20%. I'm just probably going to do 2 more runs. So I've got that there. Got a piece of my holly, but again you can put your berries in if they've got a big stem. Just hold it, I've got a gap there so I can go over the bottom of it. And maybe just another piece just like that there. I've already removed my ends, you can see that. Sorry if everyone keeps thinking I'm looking elsewhere, it's because the shop is open, so I have to keep pausing when people come in. So that again, I'm just gonna, being safety first today, I'm going to go around 3 times. So then I've just got that little gap there. Now you can either cover it, or you could use that as the top of your wreath, so it'll be that way when it goes on your door. I like covering the whole thing so you can decide right at the end. So again, get your little piece of foliage we cut up. Pop that down if you like, and just literally take the ends off. I'll get 3 ready at the same time because we're just finishing it off here. Piece of gold. I've got mine quite big spiky one there, and then I don't know if you can see, I can just see one more gap, so I'm just going to find another piece to fill it up. And I'm literally tucking that underneath the original one. Now what you don't want to do is try and tie down that original one. You want to basically be able to not tell where you started. So you see my reel wire just dangling there. I'm just going to bring it around again, making sure that I'm not trapping any of the original foliage. 1, 2, 3. And you might get to this point as well. I kind of think that it probably needs something else there. It looks, if you look at the whole thing, it looks a little bit flat. So I'm just going to do one more piece right at the top here, and maybe a piece just in that gap there. So this is how much I didn't give myself an extra 10 or 20%. I've still got quite a lot of foliage left in my box. So you should be fine. So I'm just going to do those 2 bits there, keep the original out. See that? That's the kind of line I'm going down. Don't worry about bending it, it's all very, very hardy. I can see one little gap, so I'm just going to plop that in there. You should be able to do the shake test, a bit like the meringue test, with holding it over your head but shaking this vigorously and making sure that nothing comes off. Right, so if you can see, you shouldn't be able to see any gaps. That is the hardest stage done, so give yourself a pat on the back and pour yourself a glass of mulled wine. So what I've just done there is I have my reel wire, that's the end of it there, you can see it. I cut it just with some scissors because it's not very strong, or not very hard I should say, it's quite strong. And then what I'm just going to do is you can either tuck it behind, or you can just and poke it in. I usually tuck mine in twice. So just tuck it in, you don't need to tie it or anything, and then poke it into the straw. And then the shake test. My gold fell out, but that's right. So as you can see with mine, I sort of got busy on one side just doing the gold, and I got distracted. So with these other bits that you've got left over, you can just go around and pop them in. Because these are really hard ends, you can literally just stab them into the actual straw wreath. I think that's the last bit of that. There's a bit more there. So mine's quite organic looking, if that's the word. Rustic is the one that I like. So that is the first stage done. Second stage is you should have some sticks. I would just go around now and pop those into wherever you'd like them to go, and literally you can just place them in, and with those ends there, you can dig them straight into the straw wreath. So next stage, I've stuck all my twigs in, literally into the straw. You can hear it sort of crack. You just want it to be evenly balanced, or if you don't, you can bunch it all together and put it in one section. It is your wreath, you can do it as you wish. So you can see that it's looking quite lovely and rustic now. So yeah, like I was saying at the beginning, yours will either be 3 of these or 9 of these. If you have these ones, what I suggest that you do is you can almost make them into like a little fan. Use your reel wire again. Just cut off a length, maybe about 30 centimetres, the length of a reeler. Don't need to be precise. And with these, they're so soft that you can literally pierce through them. I'm just piercing at the base there. And once I've pierced that, I'm just going to twist it once, twist it twice, and then I've got something that I can put on top of my wreath. So I'm just going to literally put that in the middle there. Then with my two ends, I'm going to wrap it round. Again, try not to squish your foliage, it just works so hard on. And you can either join it on the other side, the metal, like that and that, and twist it, or you can just poke it in. I mean, I just tend to poke them straight in the straw because it's not going to go anywhere. This is very strong. So you'll see it fan out like that, and then you can just manipulate it to however you like. I quite like the fan. There we go, just some little fruits. So an example of how to do a pine cone. You might have some sprayed pine cones like this. It's like a little bit of gold in it, or just some plain ones. Real wire is your friend here. Make sure you've got your scissors to hand too. Again, another length, about 30 or 40 centimetres. And chop that. Now with this, you can just literally use the kernels as your guideline. Just slot them in on one side. And bring it round so it's round this side. You can do a twist. And that is locked in now, that's not going anywhere. And again, just decide where you want it to be. Maybe clear your bench a bit before. I'm going to put it in between my fruit and my berries. And just go under the foliage like that. And that's going to go in there. You'll notice that most of the things you've been given are in 3s or 5s or 7s. Florists tend to work in odd numbers. If you were to put 4 pine cones, it would be fine. You can do as you wish, as I said before. But it sort of almost frames it into a square, so your lovely round wreath ends up looking like a square. So that if you can see that pine cone in, and that is held steady. Again, I just brought the metal round and I poked it into the back like that. Nobody sees the back. So yeah, it's just like that. And poked him. And fold it down. So a bit of bling. You might have some brighter berries than I have, or any kind of old Christmas decorations you've got. I love these because even though they're glittery, they add like a really nice texture because they're quite dark. They're like classy baubles. So again, bit of real wire. Use as much as you like really. Just thread it through the normal way that you would. Just to hold it in place so it doesn't go up and down the wire, I would recommend twisting it. So then it's held steady in that place. And then again, I'm going to work near where I've worked before. Go straight in with that wire. Pull it around. This one I might just do it slightly differently so you can see. It's just got my 2 pieces of wire from either side. Just twist them. The reason I always try and poke it in is if you've got a front door that's been newly painted, you don't really want like strands of wire scratching it. But you can always just chop it down to the same length and then poke it in. Have a double help. The last thing that I just need to show you how to do is you should have some cinnamon in your box. Oh, I'm just going to lean down. They will be longer than this. These are ridiculously short, but I haven't had any from the supplier yet. So what I would recommend doing is little bundles. They look very sweet, so you can kind of make them and hang them off your tree as well. I sort of cheat this a little bit because we're going to use the raffia too. But first off, I'm just going to make my bundle with the real wire again. And I'm just going to not tie it at all. Just hold those 3 bits in place like that with my hand and then just wrap it round. It's sort of just to hold it into place whilst we tie it, really. If you don't feel like you need to do this step, you don't have to. You can just tie it if you've got more grip than I have. And then you should have a few pieces of raffia. I'll just wrap it around a few times and then tie. You can either try and tie a tiny bow. I'm not going to attempt it on this tiny one. Actually, I might attempt it. There we go. So yours will be this long, so they'll look a lot better than my miniature ones, but you can sort of see that I've done like a little parcel. Now again with your wire, another long length, 30-40 centimetres, chop it off. And then at the back of yours, you can just literally thread it through either the raffia, if that's what you've got, or the wire. Twist it. And then you can place that wherever you like. Somewhere that's visible. And twist it at the back. You can see me twisting that. Chop it, poke it. The last example of materials that you have are these oranges if you've got those, otherwise you can fast forward. Again, get some real wire. Same length. And now you just have to try and find a nice soft bit to kind of pierce it through. You can squeeze it a little bit and it'll come open. You can just go around one of them if you like, because they're not going to rip. So that's just in that little piece there where it's been split already. Twist it. And then pop it somewhere that needs it. So you can see mine's coming together. And I'm just going to finish this off, put the rest of my decorations on, and then I'll catch up with you shortly. Right, so I have done most of my decorations here. The other thing we need to do is make a little hanger. So again, with your wire, or if you've got some spare ribbon or some string, if you don't want the wire, everyone should be getting 50 centimetres of ribbon. So with an extra bit of it, you could just snip it. And then just decide which side you like it to go up. I probably quite like it that way. With the ribbon, you can just literally thread it through one of your pieces of wire, one of your wraparounds, and just tie it. It's not really going to be seen unless you want it longer, and you can make it more decorative if you like. So I'm literally just going to tie a little loop, just a double tie. If it's going to be slightly seen like that, then you can just snip the ends if you've got some sharp scissors. Into like a nice little angle. And then with the other ribbon that you were given, the 50 centimeters, I would literally, it's just to have like a kind of soft bow. You can get wide ribbon, but I quite like it just softly dragging down with tiny little loops. But that's a personal preference. So I'm just going to do a bow. Normal way you do a bow. I won't teach you how to suck eggs. And then think about where you want it. And again, with your wire, your best friend, do another length, the usual size that we've been doing. And just go around the back of it. You can go in the top if you like, just try not to graze it. Thread that on. Where have I put my loop now? So the loop's at the top there, so I'm going to have it next to where my cinnamon is. It could be part of the bow really. I'm just going to tuck again under my foliage. Or you can just wrap it completely round, your ribbon completely round, just have some dangly bits. If anyone's got any questions or is missing any bits or would like to just send their photos, we're on Instagram, Between Two Thorns, or our email address is inquiries@betweentwothorns.com. Yeah, that is how to make a Christmas wreath all by yourself. So then that hangs up from there, and I quite like the hanging bits like that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely evening. Don't get too sloshed on mulled wine. Think about me. Take care. Bye bye.